So I was hoping that at last I will not hear about Greta Thunberg. Like, she went to the UN, she went to the US, she went everywhere but China. And like, I know she's not going to China. So it's like, okay, this is the last that I've heard about her. And then it was like the Nobel Prize, people livid that she didn't win. And it's like, right, this is the last I heard about. But no, now it's in the news again. Apparently, they decided in their infinite wisdom to name a blind cockroach after her. Like, I do not know whether this is a troll or not, because this might be like the best trolling in the entire human history. Like, there's a MGTOW scientist out there which came to the conclusion that it's a good thing to name a blind wingless cockroach after Greta Thunberg. To name the cockroach after. Whatever, whatever. But to me, what this shows is the massive power of mainstream media. Like, anyone with a sense of brain watching this realizes that this person, Greta Thunberg, is not bringing anything new to the table. She's having the same talking points that other people had. She's being pumped by socialist politicians, by the Bank of Sweden, by people like Al Gore, by PR agencies. Her parents are activists, very wealthy people. Like, any person with a brain would understand that this is a PR stunt. And yet it works. You have the Church of Sweden and the Church of Germany comparing her to Jesus. You have her nominated to the Nobel Prize winner. You have people that criticize her getting fired. I mean, I could bring all these articles up, but I'm kind of lazy. If you disagree with anyone, if you don't believe that what I'm saying is true, just ask me in the comment section and I'll provide the article for you, right? It's 6:20 in the morning. Just believe me that everything I say is true about this, right? But no, it definitely shows the immense power that the mainstream media has over people. Like, all you have to do is to get 5 or 6 mainstream media outlets talk about something, and if they all simultaneously talk about it, then other outlets start copy pasting them, because this is what journalists do nowadays. Like, there's very little investigative reporting. There's very little, on the ground things. Like, there are some mainstream media outlets that do this, but most of all, it's like journalists going on the Twitter or on social media and just showing like offensive tweets. It's like, oh, look what Donald Trump said. Look what this guy said. That is like what the mainstream media is about. It's puff pieces and slander pieces. And when it comes to just wanting to push a narrative, if 6 outlets do it, then everyone else copies it. And if they manage to just constantly talk about the same thing every day, around the clock, it becomes into a cultural phenomenon in a way. Like, I'm looking at Romanian newspapers. They're not doing any job. Like, they're just copying and translating, what CNN said or what The Guardian said or these types of things. So it sinks in to non-English speaking nations.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
It's really interesting. I'm really baffled, by just how powerful these corporations, like multi-billion-dollar for-profit corporations, are at shaping how people think. If you go on YouTube, you will see Greta Thunberg talk without a script. Like, it is painfully obvious that she is not the person they make her up to be. Like, literally any person in her place reading a script could do just the same job. Just the same. And it's nothing new to the table. Like, nothing to the conversation that she says is new. Like, let me give you an example, right? There's this other child scientist which invented the technology in order to clear plastics from the ocean. Now, this technology doesn't necessitate any sort of socialism, doesn't necessitate the restructuring of the entire economy of the world. and it's technology that actually reduces pollution. Which one have you heard about lately? Let's put it like that. Let me give you another example. Boris Johnson announced something major, like he decided to pump a lot of money into the world's first fusion nuclear reactor. Now, a lot of people say it's not feasible, but apparently they have the scientists which came to the conclusion that it can be done. So Britain might be the first nation in the world which finally builds a fusion reactor. Have you heard anything about this in the media? Did you hear anything about it? Like, it is insane. Like the mainstream media, if they refuse to talk about something, it's almost as if it doesn't exist. Take Epstein, for example. Now, if you go on Twitter, most journalists do not believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. And this is bipartisan. Like, people on the left and people on the right don't believe that. But because the outlets stopped talking about it, no one talks about it anymore. It's almost like it's a gone subject, So no, the mainstream media doesn't have to lie. They just have to not talk about something and it doesn't exist. Or at the same time, if they talk about something way too much, everyone starts talking about it. Like, you have these nutcases from Extinction Rebellion which are willing to get themselves arrested, over this climate hype. There was this lawyer who set himself on fire. I talked about back in the day about some parents that killed themselves and their children because they thought global warming is going to finally arrive and kill everyone. And their daughter, which was an infant, survived for a couple of days with a bullet on her chest. These are gruesome things that are happening because the mainstream media is hyping people up to this level. And they're not asking questions. Like, for example, they're not asking the question like, okay, if Greta Thunberg is against the elites, why do the elites love her? Like, do they honestly believe that a person that is legitimately anti-establishment and anti-elites, she would be welcome to speak at the UN and everyone would clap? If you're legitimately anti-establishment and anti-elites, would you go to the European Union? Would the mainstream media genuinely just sniff every single fart that you do? No, of course not, right? Like, people who are anti-establishment, they're called fascists, they're called Nazis, they're called extremists. Like, look at Extinction Rebellion, perfect example. I'll make a video about them. I actually like them, you'll see why. After I explain to you why I like them, you'll like them too. Trust me. I am willing to bet money. I am willing to get the person that is mostly against, 100% against Extinction Rebellion. I'll sit him down, and afterwards, I guarantee to you, he's going to be so convinced he might even donate money to them. Look, are you willing to take me on that bet? I'll make a video about them. Are you willing to take me on that bet? We'll see. But so people like Tommy Robinson, right? They're anti-establishment. People like Extinction Rebellion, right? They get suppressed. It's this is what happens when you're anti-establishment. You're gonna have a PR company to boost you up, to make sure that Nigel Farage is anti-establishment. Look how people treat him. Look how people treat him in the European Union. If you're literally against the system, if you're literally against the elites, doesn't matter. You can be an anarcho-communist. You don't have to be right-wing. Even people that are very far left, they're not going to get the spotlight. They're not going to be the ones giving speeches at the European Union. No, they're being shut up. So yeah, it's the same with Greta. And to see this guy giving her the name of a beetle, to me, it's really funny. It's what's next? Are you going to name a crying mantis after her? Look at this. The senior curator in charge of Cleopatra said the name of this beetle is particularly poignant since it is likely that undiscovered species are being lost all the time before scientists have even named them because of biodiversity loss. So it's appropriate to name one of the newest discoveries after someone has worked so hard to champion the natural world and protect vulnerable species. How? By increasing taxes? So you're telling me that bugs, like certain cockroaches which are extinct now, would still be alive if we only increase the tax for gas? I don't know, they tried that in France. The yellow vest happened, increase taxes some more. Let's see what happens. People still need to go to work. Greta, if you're going to give everyone a yacht, maybe people will use them and go to work with yachts. Not everyone can afford to have a yacht, right? I just say. But seriously, like, people need to go to work. People need to buy gas in order to go to their place of business. Just increasing the taxes doesn't mean they will stop working. Not everyone is wealthy. Shit. Isn't that difficult to understand? Like, if you were to invent the teleportation device where people can just teleport to work, then sure, everyone will use it. There might be some naysayers, though. Might be some Luddites that are like, oh, I don't want to teleport. I don't want my atoms to be taken apart. And oh, shut up. But all this is, like, all of this climate matter. And by the way, I agree with the climate change. I know I piss off a lot of my subscribers that I definitely believe climate change is real. I just don't think their solution is real. And also, I hate socialism. Better than red. Yes, better the entire planet died than me to become red. I had socialism. My parents lived through it. I know people who died. Just no, never again. But seriously, right? All jokes aside, you look at what Greta wants. It's like, okay, so there's politicians that support her who want more power and more wealth. Like, how do they get more wealth? Increase taxes. Like, it is something that the media should actually talk about. This is what the conversation should be about. Why is every single gas tax and environmental tax not actually going for environmental issues? Like, I would be happy to pay, like, I don't know, a little bit extra tax. I already pay like between 50 and 70% if you add the VAT tax and you add the gas tax and all of that. Whatever. I'll pay 80%. Fine. But at least if I were to know that the money goes to replant some trees, to replant forests, or to go and invent some fusion reactor shit, or, like some actual things for the environment. No, instead it goes to the budget, and from the budget it disappears. Where? Fuck knows. Clearly not for the trees. So this is why I disagree with the system. This is why I do not accept the solution that the left is proposing. It's like, okay, more taxes. No, it doesn't work. How about you build a nuclear reactor? How about that? Then I'll be happy. I'll be like, yeah, build nuclear. No nuclear. Oh, but nuclear isn't good because it destroys, the idea that we need to have socialism to get out of shit. How many socialist countries have nuclear reactors, huh? I mean, they did. The USSR had, and it exploded. Why? Because they were cheap fucks. That's why. Because in the West, when they built a nuclear reactor, they had like 5 to 6 safety protection measures. In the USSR, it's like, no, they just built it cheap. Well, and then there's the one in Japan that had the problem. But, I guess they didn't expect an earthquake and a tidal wave one after the other. So that was that. But anyway, let me know what you think. So I guess if you can literally catch a Greta Thunberg beetle now. I know it's a beetle and not a cockroach. Stop making fun of my jokes and correct me. Like, do you feel morally superior? It's like, it's not a cockroach, V. Ha ha ha. It's a cockroach. All right, look at it. You see this shit in your bathroom, and you'll call it a cockroach. You're not saying, it's a beetle. All right. If you see this shit playing Need for Speed on your floor while you're taking a shit, you'll be like, cockroach.